Hello and welcome to the Stress Mastery Podcast. I am your host, Peggy Romero. I thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I know there's plenty of stuff to do, and you're listening to me. So finally, it's Saturday. This week, we've been talking about the what for. So on this Saturday podcast, I'll be closing out the week, talking about your why, as we usually call it here on Stress Mastery. So why do we do the things we do? And why do we behave the way we behave? Why do we want the things we want? All that kind of stuff. Of course, our why is going to be as individual as we are. None of us are exactly alike. So the why or the what for is going to be different for every single one of us. So remember, the what for will be determined by your state of mind. So are you living in the red zone or the green zone? The good energies or the bad, I guess, is what you could call them. And our why can come from fear, or it can be connected to our heart and love. So one thing is for sure, our what for will be connected to our purpose if it's really based on our heart's desires. So if it isn't connected to our true self, then it's never going to bring us fulfillment or, true satisfaction. So I've been listening and working the Course in Miracles workbook for a couple of years now. And it states in there over and over again that you can either be in love or be in fear. You can't be in both. And it's either one or the other. And after lots of time and much contemplation and experimentation with my own, energies and my own thoughts and feelings, I have come to realize it really is true. All of our feelings, our thoughts and actions, including the words we say or even the words we think, are based in either love or fear. You can follow back anything that you think of. And it's probably going to be kind of easy for you to figure it out because it's really true. So for me, knowing that one truth, of course, I'm going to want to base my goals, my actions, my words, my thoughts, my whole life in love. So I know you guys know I don't keep it a secret that I've lived most of my life in strife and fear and just downright force. I'm paying the price for it in a lot of ways, and that kind of stinks, but it's just the way it is. But I'm well aware of the fact that I can't change the past, and knowing the future is right here, right now. I try to make all of my choices based on that every day. So I made a decision a few years ago that I want to live in peace and harmony. Like, I choose joy. So I have to connect to love as my constant state of being if I'm going to be able to do that. And that's impossible without awareness. It's impossible without a plan. So I want to talk to you guys about a plan, because it's impossible without connecting to my what for to live on purpose. So if I'm connected to my purpose, then I can have the freedom to live in the peace, love, and joy that I so desperately long for. So also remember, life is really short. So understanding how important it is to live on purpose has changed everything for me. So over the past few years, my entire life has completely changed. It's like totally different now. So you guys know that I'm in the process of changing my career because I talk about it all the time. If you've seen my website, PeggyRomero.com, or follow me on any of the social media, you can see I'm changing everything up. PeggyWithPurpose. So my whole life is different, and I'm having to learn all these things, and everything's new, but it's really fun and exciting for me. So I'm happy that I like change. I'm finally doing what I know that I was always meant to do, which is the title of my book, Finally Becoming the Person You Were Always Meant to Be. So just publishing that book and learning how to do social media so I can get followers, it's like all new. I'm single and living alone for the first time in my life. Well, actually, to be honest, I did have an apartment right above the Rocky Horror Picture Show when I was 17, but I only lived there by myself for just a few months, and then I ended up getting married. But it was a long time ago, and I was just thinking about this a few days ago, just talking to a friend of mine. So this is so funny. I had to lie about the year I was born. It was really hard for me to remember, but I was short of turning 18. So it was 1979. No ID required. You just had to remember to say that I was born in 1961 and not 62. So that's how I got the apartment. And then I had to get the utilities in my name. So I got a phone line. And back then, I think you had to go down to the phone company store to pick out your phone. So I got this beautiful princess phone, like the Queen of England would use or whatever. It was white and it had gold hardware and a gold dial on it. I hate to age myself, but I really don't even think that we could get push button phones back then yet, because I think I would have got one. It was really slow to do the rotary dial because you had to wait for it to, like, an 8 would be 4. It was really crazy. Anyways, it took forever and a day. So I think that if they did have push button phones, I would have got one. But I bought that beautiful princess phone, and it cracks me up to think that that was like my first adult thing that I ever purchased. It was so completely impractical. Anyways, I'm a lot different now. So back to the life changes. Sorry about that. I digress. Creating a new career, identity, and then living alone and moving away from my home, from my hometown. So I sold my house on 5 acres because I'm 60 years old and 5 acres is just a little too much for a single woman to take care of. And I've lived in the Portland area for my whole adult life. So now I live almost half the year in Arizona, in a 55 and older community. And I'm transitioning my life out of Portland over the next couple of years. So Portland has just changed so much, like over the last 10 or 15 years, that it doesn't feel the same at all. So my hometown is literally no longer my hometown. It's totally different. It doesn't look the same. Like I said, it doesn't feel the same, and that's because it's really not the same. It's so overpopulated. The crime rate's gone up. They reduced the police force, not to mention the traffic. So I bought a house in a little town in Iowa where my 2 kids have moved in the last few years, and I have no roots or friends there. So I do have my daughter and a son and a soon-to-be daughter-in-law. Hello, Camille. And don't worry, they're happy that I'm moving there. So I'm not moving in on top of them or anything. Well, most of the time they're happy. So I did make friends with a kid named Lewis. He's about 30 years younger than me. He's actually Kimberly's friend. He's smart and he has a good head on his shoulders, and I love talking to him. He's a wonderful man, and I look forward to getting to know him better. But I also need to make other friends. This transition is big, and I have to step out of my comfort zone and find a whole new tribe there. I mean, I'm not going to hang out with, my kids all the time. But this town is like Mayberry, like no crime, literally. The people are conversational there when you check out on the grocery line. And the lines are short. It's really cool. There's no litter there, believe it or not. It's beautiful and well maintained, perfectly well kept, and a safe place to be. The center of town, which we got the house 3 blocks out of town. Just 3 blocks from the town square. It's a park. It's so neat. So maybe it's not your cup of tea, but I love it. But is it scary to move away from Portland, my home base? Of course it is. Yes, absolutely. But I'm doing it anyways. Love or fear, right? So I look forward to having more grandkids too. I can't wait. My other baby grands have grown up. They're teenagers now, Riley and Eliza. So they still love me and call me and talk to me, but they don't have a lot of time for their grandma. They have friends and their, school stuff that they do, of course. So Riley is graduating from 8th grade this year and going into high school. And Eliza is graduating high school this year. My gosh, grown up. She'll be an adult. I cannot believe how fast the time goes. So, of course, those guys are part of my what for. Riley and Eliza and the ones not born yet. So when I was young, before I ever even had my kids, I set the intention to change the life of my kids and my grandkids. My why? I wanted them to experience a better life than I did, period. I was determined to give them more than what I had. I had a plan. I'm certain that this isn't politically correct, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but I used to tell my kids when they were growing up, guys, we may live in the ghetto, but we aren't ghetto, so we don't act ghetto. We're on our way up and out of here, so act like that. And you know what? Over time, we did make it up and out. And guess what? My grandkids have never had to live in a crappy apartment or, live in a house that was 100% fixer-upper. My children were able to set their kids up for a better life because I set them up for a better life. So I taught them from experience, and thankfully, they experienced enough to know better. I had to learn all my stuff, as my mom called it, from the school of hard knocks. It is the hard way, but it's also really effective. And my kids were able to see the difference, and they didn't have to learn things the hard way like I did. So now, how much more do my grandkids get to know? than what my kids did, and they knew more than what I did. So I'm so happy because I see the generations are starting at a higher step up than I did. And I'm happy that I was a part of that. I planned for that. I made a change for the better. And my kids are experiencing it. And now their kids are experiencing it. That's a big what for, guys. I knew things could be better, and they are. Imagine that. So I want you guys to see something here because it's really interesting. So I'm a vitality purpose. So I like to raise the energy around me. So I want everyone to succeed, to do their best, and to feel their best. And I want you to live your best life. It's just the way I am. So I've been with Stress Mastery just a little less than 3 years now. So for 57 years, I didn't know my purpose. I didn't even know I had a purpose or a why or a what for, whatever you want to call it. I had zero awareness of myself, absolutely zero. Didn't know about the ego, didn't wonder about anything. Guys, I actually believed that personal development was for weird people who didn't believe in God, honestly. So my purpose and values, well, no clue. So look at what my goals were, though. I wanted to get out of the lack that I was raised in, and I made that plan at a really young age. I decided in middle school that my kids would have more than I did, more than just barely enough. So once I had my kids, I changed again. I started thinking more long term. I changed my mindset. I made it a point not to waste money, to do the best that I could with my money. And let me make something clear again. I didn't have kids when I bought that princess phone, so don't be judging me. I wanted my kids to have a great life, to be able to go to college if they wanted to. I wanted them to be able to buy a house when they were young, and I always allowed them to dream big. I encouraged them to dream big. So I know that I could have done way better in my life than I have done, but I also could have done worse. I mean, honestly, I could have stayed the same. All I had to do was not set goals. I could have taken the easy way out and not worked hard for the things that I dreamed of having. I could have just lived my life in lack and fear. I mean, that's what I was raised to do. That's what my programming was, but I didn't. Bit by bit, I gained courage and confidence, and I'm so glad that I did. My what for, which has been an example for my kids, has served me very well. So here's the thing. I was living connected to my purpose without even knowing it. I mean, isn't that amazing? And I'm certain that it's because my vitality purpose does not allow me to sit around and do nothing. My what for is just too strong. So I've always had stuff to do. I could see things around me that I could fix and make better. And then also, I have this church song in my heart and soul for my whole entire life. It's called Here I Am, Lord. It's a song about people needing help, and it says, send me. I've always thought that was like my battle cry, I guess. Here I am, Lord, send me. I'll go. And I don't have any idea about what he could have sent me to do. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time explaining this because I didn't really have anything. I just knew that I could help people. So, maybe all I had was energy to help you, paint a room or clean your house, or maybe I could make a pot of soup to share when you were sick. But here I am, Lord, send me. That's been like my thing my whole life. And I'm happy about it. It goes right along with my favorite scripture, which is the one that says, well done, my good and faithful servant. I intend to hear that wholeheartedly when I get to heaven. I believe from the bottom of my heart that's what God will say to me. I will hear that. And I realized that on this podcast, my what for came so naturally to me. Vitality purpose to raise the energy around me. This has led me to wanting better for myself at first, and then finding a way to get out of the lack and fear mentality that I was raised in, instilling that same idea into my siblings so that they could see like, oh, if Peggy can do it, then we can too. So they get to live a better life. By having the ability to expect a better life from my kids, led them to end up having a better life. They have a much better life. My grandkids and future generations are going to get to benefit from that too. I mean, what a legacy. That's my what for. I've helped many people emotionally and financially just because I wanted to without even knowing how to. I love coaching people, giving them a hand. I love it. And now, through all these years that I've been working towards this, not even really knowing it. I've been setting myself up to do the work that God wants me to do for the rest of my life. So, wow, it's like so amazing. Living life on purpose, living for your what for, your why. It's all so clear. So I ask you, what's your why? Do you even know? Like from the bottom of your heart, what are you here for? What are you here to do? What's your calling? What's your deepest desire? Are you willing to dig deep and find it? Are you willing to go for it once you figure it out? Are you going to choose love instead of fear? I mean, come on, life's too short. Live every day with purpose. You'll never regret it. I really hope that this podcast will inspire you to look deep into your heart and soul and connect to your why. The why, the what for, is what will keep you going on the journey, the climb up the mountain, as we call it. It's going to get steep, and there's going to be boulders on your path. There's sure to be obstacles and people trying to pull you back. I promise you, if you're living true to yourself, connected to your purpose, you will succeed. You just can't quit. Believe in yourself, even when nobody else does. This life is for you. It's yours. And you are well able. So plan on success. Set your goals. Make a plan. Set your mind and keep it set. Dig into the toolbox. You have all the tools you need, I promise you. Dig them out. Courage, strength, ability. The courage is there right underneath the fear program in case you can't find it. Release the fear, you'll find your courage. The strength and ability come from connection to your purpose. Get it? I mean, you can do it. It's your calling. It's what you're here for. The deep desires of your heart that are connected to your what for are there for you to accomplish in this life. You just got to believe it. Grab onto your dreams and go for it, guys. That's it for today's show. Our mission here is to create a shift in the planet, and you can join us on that mission by simply like, share, and subscribe. The links are right below the show notes. As always, until next time, stay inspired.